It's the moment I've been fearing. I can't put it off any longer, I'm afraid. Elsa Jones is in studio with me. Good morning, Elsa.
Good morning, Tom.
She's going to kill me as well. And if you're not familiar with what's going on, Tuesday last week, when we came back, I had, after a lot of thinking and stuff, decided that I really wanted to try and lose loads of weight and get fitter and change my life, really, is the phrase for it. So I've started a blog. It's called allnewtom.blogspot.com, and it details everything that I eat during the day with little other bits and pieces floating through that as well. Elsa Jones is on board as a nutritional therapist who's designed a menu of things to
a nutrition plan,
which I've had 6 days of now, so I'll be able to give you some feedback on that. Mm-hmm. But Elsa, you ready for it now?
I'm ready. Go on.
I weighed myself this morning. I have to say there was times during the week I thought I was gaining weight.
Right.
And I've been good. Okay, alcohol hasn't passed my lips, and I haven't eaten after 8 o'clock any night, and I am today 11 stone 12 pounds. And this is where you're going to kill me. I didn't weigh myself last week, but normally when I weigh myself, I'm around 12 stone.
Okay.
After Christmas, the reason I didn't weigh myself was I was afraid it was going to be demoralisingly high. So I would guess it was a minimum of 12.2, and it may have been a bit more. So all I can say for now is that I've definitely lost the Christmas weight.
So you've lost somewhere between 2 and 4 pounds.
Yeah, and I've lost, it could be 6, it could be 2 and 6, we don't know. All I'd say is I lived the life for 2 weeks over Christmas.
I bet you did.
I ate 4 meals a day. I drank everything that was put in front of me. I rediscovered the pleasure of Guinness, and I didn't get off the couch once.
Okay, so realistically, you probably were over 12 stone by the time you started.
Yeah, I would say I was definitely 12.2 this time last week, if not more. So I've lost 4 pounds.
Wow.
Is that good?
Well done you. I think that's brilliant. Yeah. I'm delighted with that.
All right. Something inside me was hoping it would go a bit faster, because there were times when I felt like a saint over the last few days.
But you see, I think it's quite funny that you think you were like a saint, because I did get onto your blog and I did have a little bit of a go to see what you were eating. I was going to respond, actually. I was saying to one of the producers, I was going to get onto the blog, but I actually had this feeling, I felt like the school teacher, or I felt like, the parent who was like ruining the kids' fun. Yeah. So I decided not to.
Right, good. But
I did have a look at what you've been eating. And listen, I will say first off, you've definitely made improvements.
Yeah.
You're eating more fruit. Mm-hmm. I noticed you're experimenting with things like tofu.
That was an accident.
Lentils were in there.
Yeah, they were.
I saw kind of, green leafy vegetables.
Yeah.
There was lots of positives.
Yeah.
There is some room for improvement, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to just tell you what I saw that I think needs room for improvement. Okay.
Right, I've had to take some notes.
In 4 days, right, that I saw, here's what featured that I didn't think should feature so heavily.
All right.
There was pizza in there.
Yeah, yes.
There was noodles in there. Okay, now noodles are a fast-release carbohydrate, as are pizza.
Yeah.
There was a baby blueberry muffin, a tiny bit of ice cream.
Yeah.
They were just these kind of little hidden sort of treats. Yeah. So while you were thinking you were being so saintly, not sure I would agree with that one.
Okay.
But I suppose probably the day-to-day stuff, right? I mean, I generally go by the rule, it's what you do 80% of the time.
Yeah, okay.
Which I think kind of works for most people. But on a day-to-day level, one thing that kind of struck out at me is bread. Mm-hmm. I think you need to cut down on the bread.
Okay.
There are a good few days where bread features not only
sourdough.
Sourdough is a reasonably healthy bread. It's slightly lower, GI than other bread, so it's less of a fast release carbohydrate than pure white bread. But at the same time, I think you need to cut down on the bread.
Okay.
If, for example, at the weekend, let's say you had bread for your breakfast, you toast for breakfast with eggs, which is which is good. It's balanced. But then don't have bread again for lunch.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? There was days then when you would have had, let's say, melted blue cheese and Parma ham on toast, but you'd also had toast for your breakfast. It's just too much bread.
Yeah. A little bit of that would have been that I would have needed to bow out of lunch with the family. Okay, because I was down, that was Saturday, I was taking down the Christmas decorations, which I may say took me 8 hours. And
so that was your exercise for the week.
During it, I just heard a call, lunch, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, excellent. Because Saturday is normally supposed to be my day to make the lunch. So I was going, this is good. And I went out and there was lovely little toasted sandwiches of sourdough, a little bit of melted blue cheese on them. And I would have to say, no, not for me. And it just would have been awkward, that's the only word, for me to have to go and do something else, that's all. So I went along with it. So yeah, no, there was more bread. I found a little bit of the problems I was having was planning and time. That I didn't have the things. And lunchtime has been a big issue for me because every day I've kind of been torn with this, what do I do at lunchtime? And most sandwiches you get are just very normal and are bread related. So I have found I've been undone a little bit by planning. I didn't put a huge amount of planning into it, and a lot of the times I didn't have stuff I needed.
I think that's probably where we made the mistake. We probably should have addressed that from the get-go, and that's what we're going to address today.
Right.
We're going to look at setting you up for success, and anyone who's on board, basically the kind of basic organisational tips that you need to kind of get you started.
Okay. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are setting Tom up for success.
Yes. We are creating your foundation for success.
Can I just say before you go to that the blog listed what I was eating. It didn't list what I wasn't eating. And I think I deserve a clap on the back for that. Right? I sat down on Saturday evening while my children...
Did you drink any wine?
Not once.
Beer?
None.
Wow.
No alcohol at all. But so there's one thing I need 10 out of 10 for. The kids on Saturday evening had homemade chips, little bits of fillet steak and beans. And they ate very little of it. And normally Tom would go, oh, yes, little extra meal around 5 o'clock. I'll clean these plates for you lads with my tongue. And I didn't get that option. So I didn't do any of that.
No, you have. In all fairness, you made great progress. The reason why I'm pushing you along is because you have set yourself a specific measurable goal. You want to lose, 8 pounds.
Yeah, I'm on 11.12 now, where I'd really like to see that as 11.4.
11.4?
Yeah. That's kind of where I want to be.
Now you've upped the game again.
Well, from 12. Say we take 12 as a starting point.
Yeah.
That's 8, isn't it? Or is that 10? Oh, it's 10, yeah. No, I will up the 11.4 is what would really make me happy at the end of all this.
Oh, okay. Grand. So then that means you're using 10. You're aiming to lose 10 pounds.
10 pounds. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then you're going to have to up your game.
All right. You heard it here first, lads.
If you want that kind of progress quickly. Okay.
Not quickly. You have to the end.
One
of the
thing
month.
I would say is
You have to the end of the month. Go on.
I think probably the most difficult thing, when you start a new style of eating, is all of a sudden you have to start thinking about food more. Normally you don't put much thought into it. As you said, you just went to the nearest cafe at lunchtime, you got your latte, you got your ham and cheese panini, dinner probably just kind of, appeared. You didn't have to put thought into it. And I suppose at the risk of sounding slightly sexist, I also think men in particular don't have to put that much thought into food. They're generally not the ones who are maybe doing the supermarket shop or the cooking a lot of the time. So it's unusual for you to have to make a shopping list and whatnot. So this is the first thing that's going to have to change. Okay, so I want you to take time out to prepare every week. So every week you need to sit down with your wife, if you like, and plan your meals for the week. Okay, you've told me that time is an issue, right?
Yeah, it is.
You've got 2 young children. You have to start planning. You've got to sit down at the start of the week or at the weekend and say, right, what are feasible meals, quick meals, easy meals that we can feasibly cook during the week that will work reasonably well for us, the kids, and still be healthy? Okay? That you don't have to cook elaborate meals. This can be really simple. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're time starved, like an omelette and salad is fine. You can even...
An omelette and salad. No bread.
Or even the likes of, let's say, a jacket potato with tuna. Or, a bit of baked salmon with maybe you can even put a potato in the microwave and just throw together a green salad.
All right.
So make a shopping list.
Okay.
What do you have to get in the supermarket? What do you have to get in the health food store? And at least once a week, if not twice a week, you're going to have to make a trip to either or both and stock up.
All right. Okay, I can do that.
The next thing I would say to you is just consider either cooking either in a batch, or even kind of where you could freeze, or even double cooking. I'm a big fan of the whole double cooking thing. So, for example, let's say I was making up a big bolognese sauce, right?
Yeah.
I can have that, let's say, for the first night, let's say as a spaghetti bolognese, maybe with brown spaghetti. Then I can keep it over for the second night and make, let's say, a chili con carne out of it. So add a bit of kidney beans and have it with brown rice instead.
Right.
So maybe sit down with your wife and think about how can we maybe even double cook.
Okay, that's going to be the key here. Sit down with wife.
Sit down with wife and plan.
Yeah, all right. Plan. Okay, so shopping list, cooking a batch, anything else?
I would say remove all trigger foods from your house. You know, I'm sure there's probably lots of little things, and it's very easy to say, oh, they're for the kids or whatnot, or I didn't want to throw it out or whatnot. Remove all trigger foods from your house.
Such as chocolates, biscuits, those sort of things.
Keep whatever the essentials are that have to be there, let's say, for the kids.
Yeah.
But you know what? They're going to benefit too if you cut out some of the stuff that you don't need.
You break that news to them.
Another quick thing I would say is invest in some good storage containers.
Right.
Okay? I know Tupperware is probably quite a new word to you. But like it's really like people would say simple things to me. I would say, well, you know, did you try nuts? And they'll say, oh, you know, I bought a packet of nuts and, you know, I ate them one day. The next day I went to eat them, they were gone off.
Yeah.
So, you know, forget the nuts.
Right. Storage
so buy little containers that you can transport snacks and stuff to work with you. Keeping a food diary is really important.
That will continue because the blog carries on.
Anyone at home who's following us, keep a food diary. You'd be surprised how you can identify your weak areas with that.
Okay.
And just one thing I would say is beware of the all or nothing approach. You know, I think if we take that all or nothing approach, we're kind of setting ourselves up to fail. If you had a bad day, don't say, oh, in for a penny, in for a pound. I've had a bad lunch, I may as well have a bad dinner. Just get straight back on track and onto it the next day. Nobody's perfect.
Okay.
You know?
Right, all very good. I'll incorporate. Oh, do you got something that I can copy on for the blog? Can I copy your homework?
You can copy my homework.
Great, thank you very much. I'll post all that advice up on allnewtom.blogspot.com a little bit later on, and we'll continue the second week now, which I think is where it's going to get interesting. I said you were going to talk about emotional blocks, but we're going to do that next week. We're going to do that next week. I've put some really good motivational tips actually up as well, included with the organisational tips, so you can read that between now and then. But next week, the emotional side of eating, psychological triggers. All right. And elsajonesnutrition.ie, isn't it? Yeah. Is the website if people want to join us. But also newstalk.ie if you want to read the blog. You can go to it now. And the truth is there, and much more as well. Elsa, thank you very much for that.